it's visible, right?
Yes, your screen is absolutely very, very visible. But I would want to introduce you guys to today's Hangout. Today we are talking about building Flutter packages. We want to learn how to go about building packages. I mean, most of us always we use a whole lot of packages in our development at one point. So we want to know, how do you go about building these particular packages? What do you need? What do you consider? Do you write a documentation? How do you go about testing them and all? And we are super duper honored to have Danvik. Danvik is one of our Flutter co-organizers, and he's an amazing Flutter engineer and a CTO at Infinity Soft Tech. I think that's his company, which is really, really nice. And we're really honored to have you here, Danvik. And we're looking forward to learning from you as well as you learning from us. So please teach us more.
Okay, as Kenny said, my name is Danvik. I have many people maybe in this community know me as Ulejama Flutter Form Builder. So that is the package that I've built. I've been working on that package since 2018, around October. So that was one of my first Flutter project actually. The package is actually one of the first Flutter packages, Flutter project, because when I got to Flutter, I saw a need and I tried to at least fill it. Right now, it has a couple of thousand likes and it's used by so many people. And yeah, so that's basically it. I will jump that. I have already introduced myself. So I will just today I'm not going to do a lot of code. Maybe I may just show a few things. I may open my ID just to show a few things, but I'm just mostly going to talk about creating packages and why you should do it and how and all that. So why create a package? So the main reason we would want to create a package is reusability, because mostly we implement things in one project, in one Flutter project, and then you go to the next and you go to the next and you go to the next. So instead of doing all that, you can just build a Flutter package that you can be importing. You don't have to actually publish it to pub.dev. You can just have a local package that you use. Maybe some companies have like a local repository of packages that you use internally. It doesn't have to be something that is out there. So one of the biggest reasons is usability. And once you build something that is usable, you'll find that in most cases, so many other people have that need. So once you start building and you realize that other people may need it also, you end up like sharing, and sharing actually also fills the gap for other people, and so that they don't have to write a lot of boilerplate just to do the same thing or repeat things over and over again. So another reason is actually community. You're sharing, you are getting to actually when we started Flutter, especially in Kenya, we didn't have a lot of developers, and community is one of the things that actually encourages developers and makes you learn even more. So just sharing, that is also a reason enough to write a package, especially if you see a need that maybe is something that you can help someone out. Actually, like you see you may find that most of your code is like just open source packages. If you just check by the number of lines of code, you may find that you are writing a whole application and most of the code is just out there, and it's in most languages nowadays. Open source is all that. So you'll find that even like the biggest companies will always depend on open source packages. So another reason is to enhance your CV and profile as a developer. So once, let's say, someone comes to your GitHub repo and they're able to see that this person is doing ABCD in Flutter, they can actually look at your profile and see how good you are, blah blah blah, how many packages, if you have packages, if you have any project that you have developed, again, as part of the community, it also helps you personally because you can get some source of income from it. If it may lead to a job, you may have sponsorships and all that. So that is something that can enhance your personal or develop a life just out of developing a package for other people to use and yourself. Another thing is learning. I think building a package was, for me, the thing that accelerated my Flutter knowledge, because I had to dig through Flutter, like the code base of Flutter. So instead of going and looking out there, because there was not much of Flutter content out there, we just had to go and dig through the code to understand how, like for me, because I was building a forms package, I had to understand how does Flutter deal with forms, how do forms work in Flutter. So that is one of the things. Am I still visible? Am I still audible? Candy?
Yes, you are.
Okay, sorry. I think something went off on my screen, so I just wanted to confirm. So that is the thing that enhanced my learning by just building a package. Because someone will ask you a question, something that you have never had, something you've never like interacted with, and it will prompt you to go out there, like for you to solve that issue that someone has written in the package. Let's say, for example, if you're hosting it on GitHub, you will go and learn a lot. By the time you come and solve that problem, your knowledge has just doubled. You now understand things better, so much better than you would have imagined yourself. So I feel like these are like the core reasons for, there may be others. Maybe, for example, if you just want to make an income out of it, you can do that. There are packages that are paid. For example, there are many other reasons why you build a package. And these are just some of them. And then, so how do I get started? Usually, if you go to the Flutter documentation is very nice, because when I started, I also didn't know how to package. And you go to you go to Flutter, the Flutter documentation, and that website, you can always get how to start. So there are two kinds of packages in or plugins or libraries in Dart. The first one is a pure Dart package, which is usually what we call a package. And then there are plugin packages. So plugin is something that has specialized code. Like, let's say, for example, that interacts with Android or iOS or web. It calls the APIs from those languages to build. For example, if you're building a camera package or a files management or file picker or image picker or something like that, you'll have to write a native code that will interact with your Dart, that will be called by your Dart code just to access the data from the data from the device itself, or from the web, or from the desktop, and so on.
So
yeah.
Danvik, I have a question.
Yes.
So when we talk about plugin packages, is it like when you're trying to like connect your application to the native side, sometimes you use like what's the name? Is it shared preferences or what? Like packages like a Pigeon package or I'm forgetting the name of this other thing. Those ones that you try to like connect.
Yes. Yeah, so that is more of a plugin. Like, it's a plugin package. It's not a pure Dart package. It's a plugin package where you will find yourself writing code for all the packages you want to support. But the advantage of writing maybe that pure Dart package is that you don't do a lot of integrations to basically to write the native web and the desktop and the iOS code. You will just write that, and you'll find that most of them will just work directly with, as long as it supports maybe Flutter, it will just work on all platforms with Flutter. But for plugin packages, you may have to write that you may have to call some native APIs to do that, or at least maintain some native code in your project. Yeah.
Nice. So this means you won't need like to perform platform channels or method channels in your particular code base, yeah?
Yeah, if you're doing that only, most likely you may not have to do a lot of that.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I have seen this I have published a few packages in NPM, and I see NPM has a lot of duplication and all that. And maybe something that maybe a button you have created a nice button, you want to publish it for other people to use. That may not get a lot of usages because maybe that design style is just for you or something like that. But you can publish something that is actually like likely to be used by other developers. One thing I also learned when I started is that I started developing something that will just work for me. In the end, I ended up writing a lot of abstractions that anyone who, for example, in my forms package, anyone who wants to develop uh, their own like form input that will integrate with my package, I had to write some code that will basically just someone can just build on top of it and let's say extend my package, and they can also be able to bring a lot of their own code into it. You'll find yourself doing such things, and you'll get a lot of requests. I want this, I want this, I want this. So that is one of the things. Like for example, someone says, since I was building a forms package and that was dealing with a lot of inputs, someone says I have like a star rating package. I want to be integrated into my package, into my form, for example, something obscure. When I started developing for this package, when I started developing this package, there were only two native like form inputs. That was the text field that were integrated with the form. That was the text field, and actually, I think that was just the only one. So I needed to maybe, for example, use the drop-down field, uh, and it was not integrated with the form itself, the form widget in Flutter. So I had to like write such things. And basically, when you're doing it, I learned a lot of things. So always try to publish something that is likely to be used by other developers. Otherwise you'll be discouraged because not so many people use. But it doesn't really matter as long as you're building something, and even if you have like 10 people build like using your package, the learning will still be there. You'll always still continue to learn. So another thing that you may need while developing a package is especially if you want to publish to pub.dev, you will have to get an account with Google, because obviously we know that Flutter is Flutter and that are Google package, Google technologies. So that is something that you may want to have. So usually this is usually the way your package structure is, especially in documentation. This doc part is usually like auto-generated for you. There's a command that you can just write and it will generate the API docs. For example, if I go to any, let me just go to pub.dev. Let me just go to any package. So when I go to this API reference, as long as you have written your that is too shallow. Let me look at something that has a lot of code.
Somebody said they like block. Maybe we should check block package.
Okay. um, so the API reference is usually like part of what is generated for you actually when you publish. For example, all you need to do for, let's say, this part, for this thing to be generated is if we go to, let me just open this in a new tab. So let's say, for example, if we are looking at contributing repository. Let's say, for example, if we are looking at what were we looking at? Like block, what is a block? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to sources. Just look for something else. Let's say block builder. So what you usually do is just write the docs here. This is how you write the documentation, and it will be automatically generated for you. Like these words will be like, for example, if I go to block builder, this is actually just generated from the documentation that you put on top of your package like this. For example, this is the documentation for it. So block builder handles blah blah blah. So this is how you provide your documentation, and then there's a command that will be automatically run and publish, and it will generate basically this whole documentation for you for any user of your package. So this doc part is usually auto-generated. Nowadays, I think I would just remove it, because usually when we started, when some of the first packages we were developing, this doc thing wasn't there. So you had to like generate your own documentation by just running the single command that will generate the code. But nowadays, when you publish, it will just generate this code for you, so you don't have to do a lot of that. So another thing you have to include is an example. So you've noticed that in most of your packages that you visit on pub.dev have examples. So for example, if I go here, we have the example code. So this will just be copied from your package here. Maybe, for example, you have an example app, and then it will just copy that and then put it here, so that anyone who wants to use, they can see exactly how you're using it, then learn directly, and it becomes very easy. So that is one of the things you have. And then you have the lib, which is basically the library folder. It's usually advisable that if your package is called my package, then you build up my package.dat, then that's the package that will export. It will be like what we call barrels. Someone has done a TypeScript or JavaScript, usually it's called a barrel file, that its work is only just to export other files. And it usually has the same name as the library or the folder. For example, if you are writing a lot of code and you want to export, instead of exporting each one specific, like importing one by one, you can just import the whole thing. And then this is where you put your source now for that package. This is just a barrel to export. And then it's good to have tests. Usually we have a changelog that will show, for example, if I go to this package, I can see the versions. So the changelog is here. So the changelog is just usually a markdown file that includes all the history of what is changing between your packages, between your package versions. So for example, like in the next version, this is what we have added, this is what we removed, this is what we have fixed, and all that. License, usually it is very advisable to have a license in anything that you share out there. For example, if you're sharing, let's use this package, for example, my own package. It's good to have a license file that shows how someone is supposed to use your package. There are packages that are out there and are not, you don't have permission to maybe use it for commercial use. So there are different kinds of licenses in software, like there's the mostly used MIT, there's BSD, there's Apache, and there are many others. So depending on the package, in fact, there are software out there and websites that can help you generate the license, given like as long as you give it which kind of license you want to use. So you need to do a bit of research and know which kind of licenses you're using. As I said, there are packages out there that, for example, I have built a package and I want anyone who is using, like a student or anyone who is using it for a local for their own private usage and all that, they don't pay. And there are softwares that there are systems that maybe if I want, for example, that I want it for personal use, it's free, but it's commercial use, someone pays me. So you have to define the license, and you'll notice when you publish a package and put it out there, if you don't have a license, someone will ask you before they start using. In Kenya, mostly we are used to using like free software, but in most countries you have to like put out there and say this is how you use my package. And one of the things that you have to notice also when you're publishing any package, and this doesn't just apply to that or anything, publishing it to NPM, to NuGet, to anywhere you're publishing, you have to declare and actually say that, for example, as much as you have given out this package to use for free, someone can sue you if that package will lead to losses in their company. For example, if you have done something that will end up costing someone. For example, you have a good example is maybe you have a never-ending loop, and then it causes someone to have maybe some costs they incur on, let's say, AWS, because they were using your package, they can sue you. So one of the things you usually have in your license is like this statement: this software is provided as is without any warranty of any kind, express, implied, or of any kind, express or implied, including but not limited to warranties of merchantability, fitness for particular use and purpose, and all that. So basically, you are telling someone that ukitumia hii package, using this package, whatever happens to you happens to you. You don't come and sue me, because if you don't have that and someone goes and incurs a loss because of using your package, they may sue you. So this is a very important thing. You need to understand this if you're developing any package out there that is going to be used by people. So there are websites that will help you generate this kind of statement, this MIT license, as long as you give it the kind of license to generate for you. License is very important. So as you know, you always have your pubspec.yaml for any dependencies that you have for your package, and then there's your README. So your README is what will be, you're looking at block here. Your README is what will be shown here. So in your README, you would want to put how to use your package. For example, this has sponsors. You may put sponsors there. So as they are sponsoring you, you're also marketing them. For example, Very Good Ventures here is being marketed as a sponsor of this package. So if anyone who wants to build an app with Flutter, they know Very Good Ventures is a very good thing to go with, a very good package to go with. Usage, basically, this is the most important, how to use the package. Another thing, yeah, basically that's mostly like what is needed. You can also give information, for example, in my package, in some of my packages here. Let me just go to this. So in this package, I have basically also shown someone how to contribute by how to support by contributing, and the instructions of how to. This is a package that is used for validation of fields in Flutter. So this package, we have translated the package into many languages. So we're also giving out instructions on how to add a new supported language. So if someone wants that package to be in a language that they understand or their users understand, for example, if I'm building an app in China and my error messages are being given in English, I may want to translate a package, and I may want to help the author of the package by translating it into my local language. So you can also give instructions on how to basically contribute to your package. So that may be part of your README. You also may want to acknowledge other contributors, because you will find that once you start building a package, so many people will come and help you. So one of the things that we usually do is to actually list them and show these are the people who are like part of the contributors of the package. So that is just one of the things that you may put in your README. And then, yeah.
Then I have a question. So
Yeah.
as part of the contributors, how do you exactly contribute to a particular package?
For example, there are multiple ways of contributing to a package. Number one, you can report bugs. Reporting a bug actually is actually a contribution, because that bug will get fixed. Another thing is you can request new features. So requesting a feature is also contributing to a package, because it will get better over time. Another thing is to answer questions. If someone has raised an issue that is actually a question and you know the answer, you can just always answer the question. And this will come also to your GitHub, like this is a contribution that I made. So if someone is looking at your GitHub history, they can see that you've answered questions. Another thing is to like create a PR, and that is a pull request. Basically develop something. You can come and let's say, for example, let me just go back. For example, in this package that we are working on, there are issues that are tagged as help wanted. For example, if you come and find help wanted. So basically, what this author of the package is saying, I have built this package, but this issue I don't know how to handle it. So these are the good starting points. If you know how to implement this feature, you just come and see this is a help wanted, or you just choose any. It's a bug that maybe it's bugging you. It's not affecting a lot of people, and it's actually bugging you, and you can solve it. So you can just come and basically work on it and create a pull request, and it will be merged into the package. So that is also one of the ways you can contribute to the package.
Okay.
Yeah. Another thing is also sponsorship. There are people who contribute to a package by sponsoring the author of the package, so that you make sure that there's continuity in that package. If you are sponsoring someone, for example, if I am employed someone to work and I don't have enough time to come and sort out these issues, someone may say, I'll contribute like $5, $10, $100 for you to fix me, even for you to fix this issue for me, because it's bugging me a lot and it's affecting my package. So those are other ways to contribute. Or maybe translating the package into another language, or the documentation. Those are all different ways of contributing. And when you're starting with something big as Flutter, maybe you want to contribute to Flutter, it may be a daunting task to say, like, where do I start contributing? One of the things that you can do is just fix a typo in the documentation. Like that is helpful enough. Translate the package into your language. That is contribution enough, so that other developers in your local languages can basically understand Flutter better. That is one of the ways you can contribute. Is that question answered?
Yes, absolutely. So we can add something like Swahili in the package.
Yes. In fact, like one of the packages here, this one I also had to translate into Swahili. I don't know. Yeah. So this I did myself. I'm the author. I did it myself, so that anyone who is using Swahili in their app can get like the error messages. If, for example, like a field is required, they can just say like it can be written in Swahili. This is required in Swahili. I'm not going to say that. So your pulp spec, what does it contain? I know most of you, since you are Flutter developers, you know what the pulp spec file contains. But maybe if you are building a package, you may have to add some extra fields. So, for example, the name that is required, and you need to understand how naming in Flutter works. It has to be snake case for any library name. That is something that once you start developing a package, you just learn. And then there's the version, the description, homepage. If you have a website for that, for example, if you go to Flutter Block, they have like their own websites that has all the documentation for Flutter Block, or you may have your source repository there. That is helpful. So homepage may be different from your repository. So issue tracker, for example, if you have an issue tracker like Jira or whichever issue tracker you're using and you want people to report there, or I can just also put the issues link here. Like I can just copy this and put it there. So this is where you want to, if you want to report the issue, this is where you would go. Documentation, if you have a link, an external link for documentation, that is where it will go. By default, we just use the pub.dev information. So dependencies, if you have any dependencies, they have dev dependencies. If there are any dependency overrides, this dependency overrides, when you are an author of a package, this dependency overrides, you will come to realize it's a very important thing, because someone will tell you, I don't have, like, I can't install your package because it's clashing with another package. So you can tell them to like override and use the version that you that works with that other package. This is a very important thing. So environment, this is something I'm sure you have interacted with in building just a normal Flutter app. Executables, if there are any executables for people who have done Node.js, there's the scripts bit of your package.json. This is similar. So if you have any executables, you put in there. Publish to, usually in your Flutter package, usually say I'm publishing to none. But now, maybe if you're publishing a package, you may have to specify where you're publishing the package to. I have that here. Okay. So if you don't have, if you say none, basically it doesn't go anywhere. But I think if you don't include it, then that means you're publishing somewhere. If you don't say publish to none. Yeah, so there's other things. If you are publishing your package to pub.dev, you'll notice some metrics that will be given out here. Like, for example, the number of likes, the number of pub points, the number of the popularity of your package. So just to understand, likes is just a measure of how many developers have liked the package. Basically, they have put it in their favorites as a favorite package. Then there's the pub points. So pub points is basically a measure of how good your package is. It's measured out of 140. So if you have 140 out of 140, that means that your package is written well. And they will look at a number of things, and you will just see them here if you are a package administrator. I think in any package you can just see it. I'm not very sure. So they will look at that conventions. Basically, you have provided a valid pub spec.yaml, you have a readme, you have a change log, you have a license that is displayed. So if you're missing any of this, then your points will reduce. Another thing is you have documentation. So documentation for us is just writing that doc on top of a pack at the top of a class or a method, just to explain what this method does. For example, this is a checkbox. So this is actually the documentation that will be carried over to, as we explained, to your API reference. So usually they want you to write a lot of this so that anyone who is using the package, someone may want to know, like, what does the title do? What does the subtitle do? Like, what is this? What is this? So basically just giving someone, and without this dash doc, these comments here that are very specifically formatted with the three slashes, without it, your ID will not auto-suggest for you because it doesn't know what that thing does. And so now that someone has put it here, your ID will just come and read this and give it to the user, and the user will know, oh, this is what this attribute is for, and then they can very easily use your package. So that is one of the things that you provide. Then another thing is platform support. So it supports like the more platforms it supports, and actually it has to support very well. You can't declare support for a package for a platform and then it doesn't work well with that platform. So those are the things that are also being checked. Another thing is static analysis. If your code doesn't conform to your static analysis, you will be deducted points. For example, here we had someone who actually we merged a PR that had some code formatting errors. So you see that actually got some of your points. So that is basically how PowerPoints work. And then popularity is how many developers are using the package. So if we say like, so there's a metric, there's a formula that you use to calculate if your package is like 80%, 90%, just based on some metrics that Google themselves know. So I think, okay, initially they were using, I don't know, this may have changed now, but since this documentation I wrote in 2020. So this is usually like the number of apps that depend on your package for the past 60 days. And if you come here, you'll see that you'll see the dependencies that your package is depending on. You'll see any packages that depend on your package. For example, this other package depends on my package. And all that information that you are putting in pub.dev will also be listed here. For example, the repository, it will just be extracted from your pub-spec file. What else? So I think I have explained this. You have to follow the conventions and all that. I think we have gone practically and seen how that is used. So your publishing checklist. First of all, you have to confirm that you have a license. It's a very important thing. I can't stress this enough. You have a README that shows how to use your package. Your pub spec maybe should have the latest version, especially if versions of dependencies that you're using. Sometimes you'll be docked some points if you don't update your package to use the latest dependencies. For example, if my package is depending on let's say I'm using, let's say for example, if I'm using this internationalization package and I'm using let's say 0.16 instead of, and the latest one is 0.18. Actually, it will tell you somewhere in there. So you have to make sure that your package is also keeping up to date. So if you just publish your package and leave it there for years, the points will start deducting because it's not being kept up to date, because some of the dependencies may actually be moving on and you are still stuck to the earlier ones, and then that will cause problems for people using your package. And then this is just an example of a changelog. So the changelog is basically a reverse chronological order of events. For example, this package, the first release date was 2018, and this is what it had. So this is just the history. Once you come to the latest one, I will now come and like put the latest one. Let's say, for example, if I'm publishing 1.9.2, I'll put it before this. So it will be the latest first, and then the older ones go. So you may say, these are the fixes that these are the new features I've added, these are the new fixes that I've done, any other improvements that you have done. So that before, one of the things that I usually do before I import a package is look at all these metrics. Is it being used by anyone? Does it conform to the DART standards? Is it being maintained and all that? So those are some of the things that you may want to actually check. So you also check the changelog. Sometimes you may have, like, let's say, for example, if you're moving from version 8.6 here to version 9, there may be like a number of changes that will break your code. For example, from version 8.6 to version 9.0, you have to read the change log, because here it says that now, like, it's constrained to Flutter 3.0. So if you are still using less than 3.10, like, basically that means that you cannot work with your package. So it's one of the most important things that you put. If there are any breaking changes, let's say, for example, there are breaking changes that will cause someone's code to break. I just want to. So if you're bringing in changes that will break someone's code, it's very good to include them and tell them these are breaking changes. So once you move to this new version, you have to change a few things. We have renamed, let's say, for example, if you're renaming fields, you have to tell someone this field is now called this. We have moved from this to this. We have moved from this to this. So that someone doesn't just get the latest version and assume that it will work for their current package. Another thing is these are just some of the commands that you may need to know. For example, Flutter analyze, basically just to run the static analysis and see if there are any non-conformity of your static analysis. You may want to format your code. You may want to format your tests. You may want to format your example. That doc is the command that will generate the documentation. For example, the one that will generate this API reference. Though you don't need to usually to do that in a package. Public dev will run this command and actually populate the information for you into the API reference. So for you to publish, the command publish is publish. I think nowadays, okay, this documentation is a bit. I think it should be something like this. I think it's Flutter. It's that publish, something like that. So before you publish, you may want to run a dry run and see what you will see. And a dry run will show you if there are any errors that you may need to fix before publishing. It will show you that. And then once you are ready, you can just run pub publish or that pub publish, depending on now. I think nowadays the pub is not a main command, it's usually a sub command. That any miscellaneous information when publishing a package, testing, you have to test, make sure that whatever you're expecting your package to the output is what you're expecting. Maybe, for example, in this package, we are writing, let me go to this. So this is a package that is used to validate, let's say, for example, email validation, LP validation, date validation. So you may want to write tests and make sure that actually, if I write a wrong email, it will bring an error. If they write a wrong, let's say, for example, something that doesn't match any of the commands, any of the rules that are there, it actually works. Another thing is static analysis. So there are different static analysis options that you can use. Usually, when you create a new Flutter package, usually it comes with Flutter links, which is basically your static analysis rules that you use. Then you can import that Flutter links. This is just a package, a dev dependency, and then you just come and add it here and include it in your static analysis, so that it makes. So basically what static analysis does is that it forces you to use a specific standard in developing, so that anyone coming new to your package, they can actually just conform to your package. If you're building maybe yourself, you may lack this, but it's very important for you to stick to some conventions in developing. You just don't name things anyhow. You don't just capitalize on or basically mostly it's just about naming and formatting things in your code. So once you have included this, if you make any errors, basically this will be shouting at you. And if you run this command that analyze or Flutter analyze, it will actually tell you you're not conforming to the standards that we have set. So that it's good, especially if you're writing a package, to make sure that you stick to a standard, because this is something that people will come and actually assist in developing. So you want new people who are coming in to also know what exactly are the standards that you're using. Another thing is you have to do a bit of research into semantic versioning. So SEMVer just is short for semantic versioning. So basically, you need to understand if I'm saying my package is at, sorry about that. So if we say my package is at 9.1.0, what does it mean? So you need to understand that version 9 means like this is the major version, this is the minor version, and then this is the patch version. If I'm doing any new fix, you will see that I will increment this value only. If I'm doing, if I'm adding a new feature, I may change, let's say, from version 1.2, from 9.1.0 to 9.2.0, because I'm adding a new feature. And you'll see in the change log, this will actually dictate how you make changes. And it's very important that you do it in the correct way. Otherwise, let's say, for example, if someone is migrating from package version 9 to 10, they should expect some changes. So this is basically how semantic versioning works. There's a whole paper on semantic versioning, and you can look for it and actually read it if you are planning to write a package. Another thing you can also do research on is automated publishing. This is something that pub.dev has added, a new thing that pub.dev has added. And when you go to, for example, if this is the package I have published. So if I go to the admin, I'll be shown how to publish automatically with GitHub Actions. So this is something that you may want to do, because instead of doing it manually and actually doing the publishing and the dry run to check and all that, you can actually automate this whole process. And once you tag your version, let's say, for example, you put a GitHub tag, a Git tag at a specific version, it just automatically trigger a publish to pub.dev. Those are things that may be helpful to you if you're developing a package. And then dependency overrides is something I mentioned. This is something that you will get a lot. Your package is not playing well with another package, so someone may want to use dependency overrides to override a specific version to a specific version. Another thing is know how to use GitHub. I will change here to Git and GitHub. So you need to understand how to use Git, for example, tagging, commits, and all that. And when it comes to GitHub, maybe you know how to create an issue or to merge a PR, to create tags and all that. Another thing you want to do is to verify your package. So if it has this check mark, that means that this publisher is verified. So that means that it will increase the level of trust in whoever is using your package. So that is one of the things that you want to do. And then another thing is continuity. Usually, this is a problem that happens a lot within the open source world. If someone dies, for example, so that means that if they don't have a community around that package or an organization around that package will just die, or maybe someone will have to clone it and like maintain another version, because someone else doesn't have access to continue publishing here. That's why you will see like a package and the second version of it. I don't remember a good example of it. Let me just check. There's several DIO packages that actually someone stopped maintaining them, and then someone else had to come in and basically create a version 2 of it. I don't remember the name of the package, but there are a number of packages that you'll find like version 1, or like someone will create a new package just to continue your work. Maybe for example, if you are not doing Flutter anymore, or maybe for example, yeah, you have moved away from Flutter. For example, now you are doing native or you're doing web, and someone has to continue maintaining. You can transfer that ownership or create an organization. For example, for us, we have an organization around the package called Flutter Computer Ecosystem. Now we have people who can maintain in my behalf. Initially, I had to, like, every PR I have to manage it myself, every issue I have to go through it myself and all that. Nowadays, it's mostly automated, or like someone else out there will come and assist me. So that is one of the things that you can do. You can create an organization around your packages and basically have someone else help. There's also this community called Flutter. I think it's just called Flutter Community. There's an organization called Flutter Community. So if you're building a package, you can go and, instead of hosting it under your name, you can go and host it under Flutter Community. Then in case you are indisposed or you have moved away from the package, someone else can just take it up and they can actually publish the package to public dev, instead of coming to find your packages, someone's package is dead. So these are something that you can also consider. I don't have a demo today. This is code that I used. This is a presentation I prepared earlier. Another thing that there are some resources. Basically, these are the biggest resources that you will find in publishing, and they are very well documented. So if I want to publish, develop packages, basically I just go to the link flutter.dev or pub.dev. I can just find all the information about how to publish a package. And then, yeah, if you need me, if you have questions, you can find me here. And if you want to access me on GitHub and see any of the packages, maybe you want to find some inspiration to do a package, this is where you can find some of my developed packages. So these are the packages that I've developed, at least for Flutter. So questions, contributions, questions, and all that. And see there's chat here.
Nice. Thank you so much, Danvik, for that. There's something you mentioned that you write tests, or rather you need to test your packages. What kind of tests do you write?
Just it depends. If you are writing a widget, like basically we just need to write widget tests. For example, basically, like I want to test that, for example, so this package, what it does is that it allows you to build a form, and you're able to submit, you're able to save, you're able to do all that. So for example, this is one of the packages one of the tests that I have written. For example, this is a widget test, so I can expect that actually this form has been saved. Just make sure that it has been saved. Basically, just test and make sure that whatever you're trying to achieve by writing this package is actually being achieved. Otherwise, if it's not being achieved, then that's when you start having problems and issues being raised. So what we usually do is that when I want to publish we have automated the process of publishing, and one of the things that it does is that it runs all the tests before publishing, before merging actually, because if we open any pull requests, you will see that all the static analysis is being done, all the tests are being run, so that someone doesn't introduce a change that will break your so in case, like for example, this code is not merged because they had some checks failed. So that's just some of the things that you do. So mainly, you don't have to write like any specific kind of tests. What is most important for your package to do? But basically, what is it trying to achieve? And you test whether that's being achieved. So that's basically the main aim of tests, actually, in the real world, everywhere. Like just ensuring that whatever you're trying to achieve in this piece of software is just actually being achieved.
Okay.
For example, another example is, maybe I will give, is you can also have like some unit tests. Look at unit tests here. So yeah, so yeah, it's a very simple. So for example, if I am testing that an email, like I am testing an email validator, I will come and give it a string and see if that if that string will actually will be valid actually if I give the validator like an actual email, it will work. If I give it a wrong email, it will not work. So basically this is just testing all the possible mistakes that someone can do while using your package and make sure that your package is actually handling it gracefully. Can you add something else?
No. I see it's more or less like how we just write our own tests on.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's not different. Just like your own Flutter test. Like that's just the way you would write it. So if you're writing a widget that is part of your package, that you just test that widget with a widget test and see. If you're writing a function, maybe you can just do a unit test and see that actually it's actually being validated. Someone is asking, by Google account, do you mean Gmail? Yes. Google account and Gmail is one and the same thing, I think. But for you to publish a package, you have to at least to sign in your Gmail account, and actually for you to be able to publish.
Okay.
More questions today?
Sorry, I don't think I have more questions from my end. It's just Enos has raised his hand. Please ask the question.
Yeah, evening guys. So I have two questions. So the first one, there's issue in regards to a discontinuity of a package. So there's this scenario. I was using the Flutter Google Maps package. So in addition to that, there's also on the application, I was also using the PDF viewer. So there's conflict in terms to the HTTP. You could see like for the Google Maps, it was using 0.13.0. And then for the PDF, required to 1.00. So I'm following through the issues, like there have been communicated issues in regard to the Flutter Google Maps package, but initially contributors are saying that the publisher doesn't return any emails or has not given authorization to make an update to it. So what I decided to do was just to fork the entire package and run it locally, then make some upgrades on the dependencies, and then publish and call it locally from GitHub. So I want to know, like, if that procedure that I'm doing is ethically allowed, or will it result in some sort of issues?
So one of the things that you could do, first of all, before, as I had said earlier, before using any package, you also, let's say it's a new package that you've never heard of before. First of all, you come and actually look at the history. In fact, you may find yourself using a package that was actually, by the time you start using it, it is not being actually actively maintained. So first of all, you look at when was the last time it was published? What are the pub points? How is the popularity? How many people like it? If so many people like it, you'll find that the owner of that package will be likely to maintain. Now let's come back to your issue. You have cloned the issue. So if you have you've said the package is Flutter Google Fonts, Flutter. Is it Google Maps Flutter, right?
Yeah.
So the most important thing is you will come here and go to the repository. And as I said, license is one of the most important things. So if it has a permissive license, like let's say for example, the MIT license, you can just read through. Usually like paragraph or two. So if you look at this package and someone is saying you have the ability to to redistribute, modify, and do all that. That means that you have you can just clone it and use it. So that is where the license is actually helpful. So if you read it through the package and it says let me see. I don't see limiting. Yeah, I think this is a package that you can just come and basically clone it. But basically what you do is you read the license. That's why I advise that you always have even if you're publishing your package, you also write a license file so that anyone who wants to maybe clone it, they know what to do. Otherwise, there's that issue of being sued. I think that is correct as long as it's a permissive license. Usually permissive license are things like BSD and MIT. I think Apache has some kind of limitations. So usually even in GitHub nowadays, once you mention which kind of license you're using, it's usually just when you open the license file, it will actually tell you on top here things that you can do. So basically, the author is not liable. There's no warranty for using it. You have the ability to modify. You have the ability to use it for commercial use. You have the ability to redistribute it. So that means that you can just go and use and maintain your own version. So just look at the kind of license that is being used. And I think this one, the one that we have checked, I think they're using this BSD3 license. So that means you can redistribute the package. So that means distributing is just cloning and basically allowing other people to also use out of what you have already cloned. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Yes, thank you. So then the second question was, so let's say, let's say in the scenario that let's say I'm arrogant. So yeah, maybe I've gotten a package whereby it has a license that the package should be used for commercial purposes. So that there's a restriction, but let's say in my company, I want maybe let's say we can just simplify, let's say there's an ATM card UI that package has, and I wanted it to use at a project on our company, and which later will use for commercial. So to circumnavigate this, let's say I also do the same. I clone understand how the metrics and how the development of that particular widget was done, then use the same implementation and write it on a different area, not totally referencing the package directly. What about that scenario?
I think there's some level of ambiguity when it comes to licenses in software. But usually, as long as you can say, like in that scenario, would say I took inspiration from your software. Inspiration doesn't mean that I maybe copied or used as is. So if I did some modifications and basically I just took inspiration from it and it's out there to be used, you may have some legal issues, but it just depends. I don't know. This is something that I think like a software lawyer would better to answer that question. But try to make sure that it doesn't really, especially the looks, doesn't exactly look like the owner of the package, because what people do usually, and I've seen this even in Kenya, is that someone will not even bother you if your software is a very small software being used by 1,000 people, by 100 people. Someone will not bother you. They will wait for you to be a big entity, and then they will come and you will backdate all the payments using their licensed software. So for that, you have to be very careful. You can take inspiration from it, but don't exactly just copy paste. That is what I would advise you, to a point where now, like, if you never make enough modifications, this software is now not distinguishable from, basically it's distinguishable from the other one, because you have just maybe seen the UI and taken inspirations from it. That doesn't mean that you have actually copied. Just make enough modifications. I don't know how to clarify enough modifications, but you can make enough modifications from like the original package, you can get away with it. It is just a precautionary thing. Someone may never even know that you're using that package, that they're like you're using their software, but just to protect yourself, because this usually the way they do it is that they come when you are big enough for you to even like be sued. Someone will see you using their package and just leave it. Then they wait for you to become big. You are the next Google, and then someone says 2 billion. And then you start shivering there. I think that time you'll have enough lawyers to protect you. But basically just, yeah, as I said, take inspiration, don't exactly copy, especially if the package is not permissive. If it's permissive, if it gives you permission to do anything, you can just copy and lift it and put it there, as long as it has that, and that is the original author. I don't know if that has answered the question, of just made it a bit even the waters even more murky. But it's good, and that's why it's good to go and read through like any kind of licenses in software that you get, because there's a lot of fine print that you put there, especially for these big companies that like social media companies. There's a lot of, you will want to sue them, but they will have covered their themselves like to the point where you can't. And that's why it's very good to read. For example, when these learning applications started out, this I'm going to use, I'll not mention any names, but some of these big learning applications, one of the things that they were saying in the fine print is like, this app has the ability to read your messages. And the reason why they wanted to read your messages is to see what kind of messages do you get? Do you get like, let's say, for example, Fuliza, you have like several Fuliza messages that they are basically asking for their money back. Then they can know that you are not a very good credit. You're not a very good. Your credit score goes down because you're not a very good creditor. Is it a creditor or data? Data. You're not a very good data, because maybe you don't pay a lot of, you maybe skive on paying some of this other, let's say, this other loaning companies. So if you don't have if you're not doing that, if you're not paying others, then how can we expect you to pay us? And they will ask for a blanket permission to read your messages, and you will give them all. And for example, you will end up finding that you have given them access to your contacts, your messages. They can read even your very intimate messages. They can know who is your mother, who is your brother, so that they can start harassing and calling them. So those are the things that you check for usually when reading any software license. There's a lot of things that even software developers themselves don't know how to protect themselves from. If you see your touch application asking for your contacts, you will ask yourself, why? Like, this is a touch. I'm just supposed to click a button and the camera lights goes on. What else do you expect? What else do you expect to read my messages and contacts and all that? So even developers themselves find themselves in problems that developers are supposed to know this licensing information. So it's very key to actually go through this licensing.
Great. Oh my goodness, there is so much that goes on behind the hood that we need to like check.
Yeah. And what I like about this, the latest versions of Google, of Android and iOS is that they break down all the permissions. And maybe, for example, if you get to the camera of your app, that is when it will ask you for permission. You see, initially it was just like, this app is going to use camera, this app is going to use your audio, this camera is going to use your, this application is going to use your contacts, your messages, your emails is going to read. Like, you just give it blanket access. If you don't give it blanket access, then it will deny. But what Google have done is that they have broken it down so that you can give specific access. For example, if it's a camera or a photo editing app, maybe you may want access to the camera, and you say they're asking for contact, then you ask yourself, now, what do I allow or not? It's not just a blanket the way it was earlier on.
That's a really great improvement. That's
cool. Very.
I think we don't have more questions, but one thing to check out is this particular session will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, and also the previous sessions, all of them have been uploaded. So if you need any clarification or you want to check out something, always feel free to check out the Flutter Kenya YouTube channel. Yeah, thank you, Danvik, for the amazing insight on writing your Flutter packages. I'm hoping to see guys trying to like contribute or writing their very own packages as well, even if it's a starter package, like the way we all have like a starter application in Flutter. So yeah. If we don't have more questions, I think we are still very well within time frame, but most people have already left. But yeah, any more questions, reach out to any of us. And if you wish to come and speak on this event or have a particular topic, please also feel free to reach out. We like these things. So yeah, that's it from me. That was the vibes for today. Thank you guys for sticking along, and thank you so much, Danvik.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, good evening, all of you. Bye-bye.
Bye.